Morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly COVID-19 business advisory update for business owners, their managers and staff. For those who don't know me or haven't joined us previously, I'm Bronwyn Pearson from Pinnacle People Solutions, and as I said, welcome to our weekly Facebook Live update. So our company, Pinnacle People Solutions, provides human resource services, advice, support, solutions, strategies, you name it, to regionally based small to medium-sized enterprises and not-for-profit organisations. And we are here to help you and your business, not only through these challenging COVID-19 times, but all the time. So please ask any questions that you might have as we go along, and I'll do my best to answer those. Outside of this, you can contact myself or my team at any time via Facebook, email, phone, website, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it, and all forms of social media as well. If that suits you better, the details will be provided shortly in the comments screen. So we are here every week on a Monday morning at 9:15 to give you an update on the previous week. Good morning to those joining us. Good morning, Jess. On everything that has developed and is impacting small to medium-sized businesses and not-for-profit organisations, particularly those that are regionally based, during this COVID period. So the first thing that I'd like to draw your attention to is that a reminder about the New South Wales Small Business Recovery Grant, $3,000. We'll pop the link up for you in just a moment. It closes on, I believe, the 13th or 14th of August, so you've only got a few more days to get this in. You might be surprised to find that you're eligible. So I would get up there if I was you and have a look at that eligibility criteria. So in terms of updates in the last week, the biggest and most relevant one, I think, in terms of businesses, managers and staff is the federal government has announced an extension of JobKeeper. We knew that till the 28th of March 2021. We've previously advised you around that. And the idea of that is to support those businesses and not-for-profit organisations which continue to be significantly impacted by COVID-19 beyond September. Of course, since that announcement was made back in July by the government, we've had the situation deteriorate in Victoria, necessitating stage 4 lockdown. And New South Wales, obviously, we're watching very closely what's happening, particularly in Metro. And so it's it's a bit of a tenuous situation at the moment. So on Friday, good news is that the Treasurer announced changes to adjust the reference date for employee eligibility to make it easier for businesses and organisations to qualify for JobKeeper payment extension after September, so after the 28th of September 2020. So if you haven't qualified for JobKeeper to this point in time, it's possible that you may well do moving forward with these changes. We will pop up the ATO link in just a moment so that you can go and have a look at those extension arrangements. But in brief, let's give you a bit of an overview. So from the 28th of September, so this is for the JobKeeper extension period, businesses and not-for-profits will need to reassess eligibility for JobKeeper, which we already outlined and unpacked for you back when the decision was made in July by the government to extend JobKeeper past the 28th of September. But the changes that have been introduced or announced by the Treasurer last Friday mean that businesses will need to demonstrate eligibility for JobKeeper by reference to their actual GST turnover in the September 2020 quarter. So it's not now 2 quarters, it's just the September quarter. And if you seek to be eligible for JobKeeper for the period commencing the 4th of January next year, you'll need to make reference to actual GST turnover in the December quarter. So to be eligible on those bases, it will continue to be the case that you need to demonstrate if your business has an aggregated turnover of more than $1 billion, you'll need to demonstrate a 50% decline in that turnover. And 30% applies to those businesses with an aggregated turnover of less than $1 billion or less, and 15% decline in turnover for Australian charities and not-for-profits. the commission registered charities, excluding schools and universities, just to be clear about that. So there are, as we've previously advised, changes to the payment rate for JobKeeper from the 28th of September. That will be $1,200 per gross per fortnight for employees who are working in the business for 20 hours or more a week on average in the 4 weeks of pay periods either before the 1st of March, which was the original eligibility criteria, or now the 1st of July. So there has been that modification introduced. The payment rate is the same for eligible business participants who are actively engaged in the business for 20 hours per week on average. $750 gross per fortnight for other eligible employees and business participants, so those under 20 hours a week. So from the 4th of January next year, 2021, to the 28th of March 2021, the rates will be $1,000 gross per fortnight for eligible staff working 20 hours a week in the business or more for the 4-week periods before 1st of March 2020 or 1 July 2020. And the same rate applies for business participants, $650 a fortnight gross for other eligible employees or participants. So a business participant, for the purposes of defining that for you, is somebody who is actively engaged in the operation of the business but who is not an employee as at 20 July 2020 or an approved provider of childcare services. So the Commissioner of Taxation continues to have discretion for alternate turnover tests. The ATO will also provide guidance where an employee is paid in non-weekly or non-fortnightly pay periods. And employers will continue to be obliged to make payments to employees equal to or greater than the amount of the JobKeeper payment before tax. So those requirements will continue post the current JobKeeper period to the 28th of September. We've got some fact sheet data and links there for you. For those who are living in the Armidale or Northern Inland and Northern Inland/New England region, UNE, University of New England, has announced a round of voluntary redundancies with a need to reduce staffing numbers by 200 to 250 staff. This doesn't include non-renewal of fixed-term employment contracts or casual staff engagement, so there may be greater numbers leaving the university than that targeted number. We will keep you further informed about that, but if you are listening to this or you know somebody who's listening to this knows staff who are employed by the university and you want a no obligation free conversation about how that might impact you, get in touch. We'd be happy to help. The other development in the past week has been in respect of paid pandemic leave. So the Morrison government, the federal government, announced that it would provide a $1,500 a week pandemic payment for workers without sick leave. That was extended to Victoria. The government has now extended that to other states and territories to join Victoria in accessing $1,500 pandemic payments for workers without sick leave. So Victorian workers will be able to access the payment designed to give people the financial capability to stay home while isolating. The unions, Labor Party and some employer bodies have actually called for a national scheme to prevent outbreaks driven by people going to work, which is what has happened in Victoria when sick or waiting for test results. There is an option for other states to receive that money. We're just waiting to hear how that will impact other states and what their decisions are. That announcement was made by the Prime Minister last Wednesday. So under a federal-state agreement, the Commonwealth would pay for Australian residents and citizens while the Victorian government picks up the bill for short-term visa holders, for example. So if other states were to enter into the agreements with the Commonwealth, that would be on a state-by-state or territory-by-territory basis. We are yet to see what other states are going to do, and we'll give you further advice in respect of that once we have it. Just in terms of what this means for you as business owners, managers and staff, First and foremost is to make sure that you're staying abreast of your obligations and that you have a COVID-safe plan in place, and you're displaying your credentials. Make sure that you have the appropriate signage and contract tracing capabilities are met, getting details, appropriate details of clients and customers. That's incredibly important. Following all your hygiene obligations is also incredibly important. While mask wearing is not yet mandatory in New South Wales, we expect that is likely to occur. It's certainly being strongly encouraged. So we would encourage you that whenever you're in a public space, or if you're indoors where social distancing is going to prove difficult, that you wear a mask. Feel free, please, to refer any regionally based Victorian businesses to us for a no obligation free conversation about how they can respond and plan for the coming weeks. They are a week into a 6-week stage 4 lockdown. This is having a substantial impact not only on businesses in Victoria, but those that are connected to those in Victoria and have implications for the changes that are happening in Victoria. So please get in touch. We would be very happy to walk you through how you might best plan and respond to that. Please review your staffing arrangements that you have in place now. That is employment contracts, position descriptions, making sure that you have adequate policy and procedures in place. We had a case this week come to the fore. I'll profile this in this week's webinar, amongst other things, but we've had a decision come down where a workers' compensation claim was approved for somebody who was the subject of domestic violence while working from home. And that was a workers' compensation claim that was successful. So we will talk more about that on Wednesday. But I can't emphasise enough how important it is to be across your employer obligations, including your work health and safety obligations at this point in time. If you need to have a conversation about that, please get in touch with us. We'd be happy to discuss where your business is at this particular point in time. But make sure that you know that your staff arrangements are lawful, where they're up to now, where they might need to go, depending on how you need to respond in the current circumstances and as they unfold. Please continue to communicate regularly and often with your staff. That's incredibly important. In the absence of information, people tend to fill that vacuum with assumption. That's not helpful for anybody. So please continue to be in contact with your staff and keeping them up to date, involving them in where things are going with the business to the extent that obviously is appropriate. And please continue to tune into our weekly webinars. We're talking to people and talking topics of particular significance during this really challenging time. And we'd invite you to join us. So thank you so much for joining us today. Our aim is to be providing short, sharp updates to you on a Monday morning. We know you're busy. And that you need to get on with what you do best. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have got specific questions about your business or you want us to help you out, please contact us anytime via email, Facebook, phone, obviously, website, you name it. You can reach out to us, and we'd be very happy to have a talk with you and help you with where you're at. From this week, also, just an announcement that our webinars, which had been being held on a Thursday at 5:30, will now be held on a Wednesday at 5:30. So from this Wednesday, those webinars will be changing from Thursday to Wednesday. So tune in at 5:30 on a Wednesday evening. Please tune in this Wednesday evening at 5:30. I'll be taking you on a journey through the tangled web of managing difficult staff. This is something that most people who've ever employed staff have encountered at some place or way, shape or form. So we're going to be talking about the things to watch out for, strategies you need to put in place, and what to do if it all goes pear-shaped. So join us on Wednesday for that webinar. In the meantime, please hug the people that you can. Wave cheerily at those that you yet can't. Please stay safe, stay socially distant, wear a mask if you're in public or in places where social distancing is going to be a challenge. Wash your hands, keep that hand hygiene happening, and we'll really look forward to seeing you for our next webinar this Wednesday afternoon at 5:30. Thank you so much. Have a great day.